Hey guys, it's David and Ross from Palmetto Carriage Works, and we're here today on the beautiful Edisto River. One of the things I always like to tell people who ride on our carriages is they need to get off the peninsula of Charleston. There's so many beautiful sights to see in the low country of South Carolina. And here's one of them right now. This is the Edisto River. Now, this is one of the longest flowing black water rivers on the continent of North America. Almost 250 miles. It starts up in Saluda County, which is, I guess what, maybe, Ross, about 200 miles from here or so, and it goes all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. Now, one of the reasons we're down here is because of the little town of Jacksonboro, South Carolina. And we're going to show you some things around Jacksonboro. Now, Jacksonboro is an interesting place. When the British occupied Charleston from 1780 to 1782, the colonial government actually fled the city of Charleston, and they ended up holding a lot of the meetings and stuff at the General Assembly here in the little town of Jacksonboro. So this is actually the second capital of the colony of South Carolina. Now, there are also a lot of other historical sites that we're going to see around this area. The Church Act of 1706 created several different parishes in and around the city of Charlestown. And we're going to go into an area called St. Bartholomew's Parish. And we're going to see the Pon-Pon Chapel of Ease, but we're also going to go and see the tomb of a gentleman by the name of Isaac Hayne. And Ross is going to tell us about Isaac Hayne. He was a famous American patriot that paid the ultimate sacrifice for his participation in the Revolutionary War. Now, as you can see, this is the Edisto River. It is a beautiful river. So we're going to load up now, and we're going to head on over to the tomb of Colonel Isaac Hayne.
So we're here today at the burial site and the birthplace, really, of Isaac Hayne, one of the fathers of our country. He was born here in Colleton County in 1745. His father's name, also Isaac Hayne, passed away, and later on, when he did pass, left Isaac Hayne a sizable chunk of land. And that's actually where we're standing today. It was a 900-acre plantation originally. Now, Hayne was very prominent in the early days of this country. He went to buy 2 more plantations, one in South Carolina, one in Georgia. He bought town lots down in Beaufort, and then he served as a politician. He was in the House of Assemblies prior to the American Revolution, and during the American Revolution in 1779 and 1780, he served as a state senator. Now that's a big deal, because not only is he a prominent American at the time, but he has a highly illegal job. And today we may not consider being a state senator an illegal job, but during the Revolution it was an act of high treason. He was serving a country that was in direct contradiction of the British government. And so when the British government did capture Charleston in 1780, they gave Isaac Haynes a bit of an option. He could pretty much flee and leave everything, or he could stay in Charleston. Now, he was content to flee, but his wife and his children were sick with smallpox at the time. So rather than risk it, he decided to keep his land and stay and pretty much give himself up to the British government and declare himself a subject of them, on the condition that he was promised he would never have to take up arms against the colonial army. They granted him that promise. He granted them his subjugation, and about a year later, the British Army was failing, and they asked Hayne to lead a regiment against colonial troops. And Hayne, remember the promise that the British had gave him, said, "I will not take up arms against my country." He left Charleston, started his own rebellion group, went into town, captured a high-ranking British officer, was taking him out of town. The British Army sent a regiment to go capture Isaac Hayne. Now, Isaac Hayne was brought back into Charleston, and as it says on his gravestone here, he was executed by the British on contrary to all usages of war. And that's exactly what happened, okay? Old Isaac Hayne came back into Charleston, and they said, "You broke your oath as a subject of the British Crown." He said, "You broke your oath when you made me take up arms against my fellow U.S. citizens." And, well, what happened is the British hanged him. And before he hanged him, he said, "I will never bear arms against my own country." They executed him. He's buried here, again on his birthland, and he's considered by many to be the most prominent American executed by the British during the Revolution. Here he rests. Come see it. It's down here in Colleton County. Check it out. Beautiful land, beautiful area, and really important history. So come on down to Charleston, explore around. There's some great nature out here, and we'd really love for you to come see it. All right, you're welcome anytime. Come on.
Right, guys, here we are at the beautiful Pon-Pon Chapel. Now, this church dates back to the early days of the colony of Charlestown. In 1706, the Anglican Church in England split this colony up into what we call parishes. And we're in St. Bartholomew Parish right now, which started at the Edisto River and ran to the western and the southern side. Now, this is a chapel of ease, and if you're not familiar with that term, a chapel of ease is basically a satellite church. When the parish of St. Bartholomew was created under the Church Act, they did not build the parish church immediately. And the reason they didn't is because the colonists in this part of the colony were constantly fighting with Native American tribes. So the General Assembly did set aside enough money to create and build this beautiful chapel of ease. Again, that is a satellite church. The original building in this, on this site was a wooden building, and it was built in 1725. That was subsequently burned, and after that, this brick structure was created and built, and it stands here today. To some people, this is still known as the Burnt Church. Now, one of the hallmarks of the history of this Chapel of Ease is that John Wesley, one of the founders of the modern-day Methodist Church, actually preached sermons in this sanctuary. You can see it's a beautiful brick structure, and this is all that remains of it after the fire. All right. Here we are down at the Sheldon Church. This was originally part of what was known as the St. Helena's Parish, which was later split into two parishes. Now it was known as Prince William's Parish. Now this church was originally built as a chapel of ease. They never built the large church for Prince William's Parish, but these are the ruins of the church, as you can see. Buried inside the sanctuary is a guy named Bull, who helped James Oglethorpe lay out the city of Savannah. And Ross is going to tell us something about the military history that surrounds this chapel.
Well, you know, this chapel, as you can see, is not exactly intact, and really it's been here for so long that both wars terribly affected it. It's one of the few churches in America that was burned during the Revolution and the American Civil War. Now, the ruins then sat here after the Civil War, and it wasn't until the 1930s that they were officially preserved by the colonial dames of America. Now, that is the same group that preserved the old Powder magazine downtown, and I encourage you to check that out. But, you know, drive around here, explore the history, and there sure is a lot of it. Back to you, David.
All right, guys, well, that's going to conclude our tour of St. Bartholomew's Parish and St. Helena's Parish, as well as including the town of Jacksonboro. So we're going to leave you with a beautiful panoramic view of this chapel. It's a great place to come. As you can see, we've got, well, you can't see, we've got some picnickers out here today, but it's a great place to come and sit and visit under the beautiful live oak trees. So as soon as all this stuff is over, please come to Charleston. You're always welcome here.
We would love to have you. Thank you.